Welcome back. All right, we had 11 games in the NHL tonight. A lot of fun action, some unpredictable results. I'm always happy when they're unpredictable. When the results go exactly the way you expect, it's kind of a, in the first board, there's at least one that I don't think we were expecting tonight. There's at least one that we can look at and say, well, that's a little bit odd, right? Okay, so we're going to start off with the ever-widening gap between teams in the playoffs and out of the playoffs in the East. It's getting ridiculous. I think the gap is now 7 points, if I'm doing the math right here. So the Boston Bruins at home against the Philadelphia Flyers. It is the return of Tuukka Rask, who in his career has only lost 2 in regulation against the Philadelphia Flyers in the regular season. So it's a good game to put him back in, right? Carter Hart on the other side, and on the first shot, Hart allows a goal. It's a turnover that leads to the goal. It's Pastrnak from Haula and Hall at 1:51. Bruins are then looking for another. They end up getting themselves a power play, and they score on it. It's Pastrnak with his second goal in just a few minutes since the last one. Marchand with the assist at 5:27. The Flyers didn't have a shot at this point in the game. So it looked like this could get really ugly. To the Flyers' credit, it didn't. Bruins go back to the power play. The Flyers killed that one off, but the shots halfway through the period were 7-3 in favor of Boston. Hall misses one wide. Rask was getting sharper with each save. He did look kind of a little bit out of position, a little bit not, a little bit rusty early on. Flyers get a power play. Farabee fires one wide. It's killed off. None of the shots they took hit the net. So we go to the second period. Early press by the Flyers. We end up with a fight between McEwen and Lewington. The Flyers press. No shots on that, though. In fact, the shots are 6-0 for the Bruins 5 minutes into the period. So it's 2-0 Boston. And it looks like they're just going to blow their doors off and, win this one 5 or 6-0. Nope. Power play for the Flyers, and they score on it. It's Atkinson on the power play from Provorov and Yandel at 8:02. We then get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Provorov has a chance that's saved as the Flyers press. Farabee was denied. Marchand has a chance that's saved by Hart, and then Farabee ties the game from Atkinson and Yandel at 15 minutes. So the score is 2 apiece. Bruins then get a power play, and then they ended up with 48 seconds of 5-on-3, which allows Pastrnak to score from McAvoy and Marchand at 16:45. Clayton, I could probably hear you screaming from my house. So that's the 11th hat trick of Pasternak's career. It's a 5-on-3 goal. And that makes it 3-2. And then Pastrnak was looking for another. So he wasn't happy just with 3. It's 3-2 after 2 periods. Third period. Hart with a game saver on DeBrusk. Flyers press at 4.5 minutes. The shots were 7-3 for the Bruins at 7 minutes. And then the Bruins decided, well, that's it. We're not getting any more shots. Tuukka probably like, what do you mean? Now it's up to you. So there was a post for McEwen, and then McEwen couldn't bury one on his next opportunity. He was frustrated there. There's a power play for the Flyers. Frost has a shot that's saved, and then there's 51 seconds of a 5-on-3 for Philly, which creates this dramatic opportunity for Rask to kill it off, and he and the Bruins do kill that off. The Bruins hold on. They win it 3-2. They go to 21-11-2. So Boston is really rolling now. Philadelphia 13-16-2 with the loss. So again, the teams in the playoffs, teams out of the playoffs, there's this big gap between them in the East, and it just keeps getting wider. Your 3 stars are Pastrnak, Rask, and Atkinson. The shots, 12-6 Boston in the first, 17-9 Boston in the second, 12-7 Philly in the third. Final shots, 36-27 for Boston. Power plays, 1-for-4 for Philly, 2-for-4 for Boston. The hits were 23-18 for Philadelphia. Carter Hart saves 33 out of 36. He played well. He did. But Rask, 25 saves on 27 shots. And that's the story. As well as Pastrnak being the only goal scorer Boston needed. So he's back on track, which is bad news for everybody else, right? Okay, next up. Well, we kind of knew this was coming. Let me just update. Got to update the record on there. We kind of knew this was coming, right? And yet it's not any easier to watch. So it's Demko versus Vasilevsky. Stamkos with a break. He fires high. The Bolts get a power play and they score on it. It's Stamkos from Hedman and Kucherov at 3:16. And for Tampa, they're 15-1-4 when they score first. So the Bolts press for another. There was a goal line stand by Vasilevsky on Garland. There's a press by Tampa Bay at 7 minutes. Joseph has a shot that's saved. But the shots favor Vancouver. Much like the Florida game, Vancouver kind of had the lead in shots a lot in this game, and they did pretty darn well, but it's Tampa, And that's really the thing. This road trip is about seeing, and they mentioned this, there was an article on this today on Sportsnet, that this is kind of the litmus test. Like, okay, this is the Canucks learning, okay, this is what the elite teams are doing, and they're not at that level. I don't think I'm telling tales to say they're not an elite team. Hedman has a blast that's kicked out. Highmore would tie the game from Mott at 12:05. That's Highmore's first of the year. I like Matthew Highmore. I think he's played well. And Mott's, a really solid bottom six guy. Good game for the fourth line to this point in the game. Bolts press with 6.5 minutes left. The shots are 10-6 in favor of Vancouver with 5 minutes left. Horvat has a chance that's saved. Miller was denied with a minute left. And then with 21 seconds left, Tampa Bay gets the lead. It's Cirelli from Killorn and Stamkos. And it was the fourth line for Vancouver that was on the ice for that goal. So they had a really good start. And then, again, it's Stamkos, Cirelli, Killorn. Good luck. 5 seconds left, the Canucks get a power play. So to start the second period, Tampa Bay finishes the kill. Why, yes, these are new magnets. Both the numbers are new Bolts magnets as well as the logo. Thanks for noticing. So there's a press by the Bolts at 4 minutes. Hughes has a chance that's blocked. The shots are 3 apiece at 9 minutes. It was not a really exciting period of hockey. Pettersson misfires in close. I don't know if Pettersson needs something physical. I don't know if he needs like some kind of a workout to get him out of this funk, or if this is a situation where he might need to talk through. There's the mental aspect of the game of hockey, which it feels like that's what Pettersson's struggling with right now. Myers ends up hitting a post. The Bolts get a power play. That was unsuccessful. The Canucks then get a power play. It was also unsuccessful. 2.7 seconds left. The Canucks get a power play. So at the end of both periods, they have a power play that rolls over into the next period. Third period, Besser had a net drive. That was defended. The Bolts did kill it off. There were ref you suck chants as Chernak got knocked down. Bolts get a power play later on. They didn't get a power play on that. Demko saves on point. That's killed off. Garland with a rush chance. That's saved. And it's a chirpy and rough first half of that period. It's interesting to me how many times we're seeing games between teams that haven't seen each other in a long time, and yet the game gets really physical or really emotional pretty early. Pressed by the Bolts at the half, and then eventually Boris Kachuk adds to the lead. He scores at 11:24. That makes it 3-1. The Canucks get a power play. It was unsuccessful, but Tyler Mott proving ugly goals count. He scores a 15:46. It was not a pretty goal. It was one of those ones where you're like, wow, that went in, huh? They all count. It's fine. Mott with a goal and an assist. There you go. So that makes it a 1-goal game. The goaltender gets pulled with 2 minutes left. That allows Braden Point to hit the empty net at 18:44. Tampa wins this one 4-2. I never really felt like it was in doubt. Vancouver drops below 500. It was a great ride being above 500, wasn't it? They're 16, 17, and 3 now with the loss. Tampa Bay 25, 9, and 5. The 3 stars, Vasilevsky, Chernak, and Stamkos. The shots favor Vancouver through a lot of this. 13-8 in the first. Tampa outshoots them 5-4 in the second. And then they outshot Tampa Bay 9-8 in the third. Final shots 26-21 for Vancouver. So they limited Tampa to 21 shots, but there you go. Power plays 0-4 for Vancouver, 1-3 for Tampa. Hits 29-22 for Tampa. Demko 17 saves on 20 shots, and Vasilevsky 24 saves on 26 shots. And here's the best part. Now they get to go play a very angry Carolina team. Carolina team that I wouldn't be surprised to see put up a lot of goals in the next game. So here we go. Carolina at home against Columbus. Columbus, clearly a chip on their shoulder in this game, and they made it work, right? It's Merzlikins versus Anderson. Good start for Columbus. Turns out that was an understatement. Kane's press at 2.5 minutes. Elvis making early saves that are key. Svechnikov was denied off of a face-off win. Domi then has a rush chance that's saved. D'Angelo fires one high as the Canes press. The shots are 5-3 for the Canes at 8 minutes. So that good start for Columbus. Canes fight back. However, at 8:43, Bemstrom with what I believe is his first goal of the season from Roslovic and Bean. And then Shea made a goal line stand shortly after that to keep the next one out. So Columbus is rolling, and this is where you expect Carolina to jump back and get it going. So Elvis, Rob Zaho, Columbus, though, had momentum through most of this. So it's just Carolina getting one of those really good fast break chances, and then Columbus is still rolling. They're getting that momentum going. Svechnikov considered the Michigan goal, the lacrosse goal. He thought about it. He had the puck. He had it there. He was thinking about it. Pressed then by Columbus with 4 minutes left. Werenski fires one high. Texier in alone. Anderson saves on that. Last minute press by the Canes. And then Robinson nearly buries one at the horn. It's 18 shots in the first period for Columbus. They had a fantastic road period, but they're only up by 1. And this is the thing. You're in Carolina. You're only up by 1. We've seen this storyline with Carolina before this year. Second period, 2 minutes of 4-on-4 to start because of some unfriendliness at the horn there. Columbus has a strong start. The shots, in fact, are 20-11 for Columbus 25 minutes into the game. So they're almost doubling Carolina in shots in Carolina, which is just ridiculous. Pesce has a shot miss wide. We ended up with 2 minutes of 4-on-4 for a hook and an embellishment. And honestly, the funny thing is, I kind of agree with the announcers that neither penalty probably should have been called. Then Chinakhov, who is starting to put the puck in the net. Early in the season, I said he wasn't allowed to get a goal, and that was kind of a running gag, and now he's putting the puck in the net. He scores from Gavrikov and Robinson at 11:56. The Canes try to answer. Robinson has a chance that deflects wide. Columbus presses after that with 1:44 left. Columbus gets a power play, and there was a shorthanded chance for Trocheck that was saved by Elvis. So after 2 periods, it is 2-0 in favor of Columbus. But again, it's Carolina. And throughout the game, you kept hearing, remember, it was 4-0 for Columbus, and then Carolina came back. So third period, early press by the Canes. And they were firing a lot from the point. And I'm not sure if this is because they were trying to get the tips in front or they didn't have anything else to really get on the net, if that's all that they were being given. But they were taking a lot of point shots. And then Laine scores from Jenner at 4:26. Fantastic shot by Laine. Laine, of course, slow season for him, but he just lost his father last month, so it is understandable that he'd have a tough time. Reminds me of, Vancouver. Markstrom loses his dad, and he had a rough month after that. It's not something you can just jump on the ice. Some guys can jump on the ice, and they're great, and everything's fine, and some, it takes a little while. So hopefully this is an indicator that Laine is going to get things really going. And then Chinakhov gets his second goal of the game. I'm so happy for him to finally start getting the goals because the work ethic's always been there. He scores from Robinson and Corrali at 5:03, and LaFontaine is in the net, which is too bad because that Chinakhov goal, that was fantastic. They said Datsykian. I'm going to say, yeah, Datsyk. That was absolutely. So yeah, LaFontaine, in you go. Good luck. His first shot is a breakaway goal by Cole Sillinger. He scores from Bjorkstrand and Bean at 5:33. So that's 3 goals in 1 minute and 7 seconds for Columbus, and the route is on. Canes get a power play, unsuccessful. Roslovic adds another goal for Columbus from Texier at 14:26. Columbus, with a statement game, they win 6-0 to go to 17-17-1. For Carolina, they're 24-8-2. No reason to panic. It's a rare loss for Carolina. They'll shrug it off, and they'll probably beat the jeepers out of Vancouver on Saturday. Thankfully, I'll be up early to watch that because masochism. 3 stars, Merzlikins, Chinakhov, and Roslovic. Also, because that's my job. Shots in this one, 18-11 Columbus in the first, 9 apiece in the second, and then 12-8 Carolina in the third. Final shots, 35-31 for Columbus. Both teams had 1 power play. Nothing happening. Hits were 16-11 for Columbus. Merzlikins makes all 31 saves for the shutout. Anderson saved 28 out of 32 before the mercy pull, and then LaFontaine, who just arrived on the scene, he saves 1 out of 3. So I don't blame LaFontaine. This was just not a great night for Carolina's defense, which is normally really good, and it was just Columbus. I really feel like Columbus had this weight on them about that blown 4-goal lead, and they just were determined not to let it happen again. All right, moving along. The Jets. So the Jets didn't have a good road record, right? And they haven't. And for Detroit, they're very good at home. They've been lousy on the road. It's Hellebuck versus Nedeljkovic, but the shots are 5-0 for Winnipeg at 2.5 minutes. Winnipeg came out and they had that swarming offense going. And then Andrew Kopp scores from Svechnikov and Samberg at 5:41. So Evgeny Svechnikov, against his former team, gets an assist there. And that's the first NHL point for Samberg. So kudos to him. Unless they took it away since then, in which case I apologize for bringing it up, because sometimes that happens. Guy will get his first point, I'll mention it in the review, and then somebody says, actually, they took that off the board. So there's a press by the Jets at 6.5 minutes. There's a scrum after that, because tonight's games were all about, hey, we haven't seen you in a while, let's talk. The Wings get a power play. That was unsuccessful. It did manage 2 shots. Shots were evening up in the second half. Detroit, kind of a sleepy start, but they start getting it together. Pressed by the Wings with 5 minutes left. Sider had a chance that deflects out, but it's 1-0 Winnipeg after one. Second period, we get 2 minutes of 4-on-4 during that second period. Larkin has a rush chance that save. Morrissey was robbed. The shots are 4-1 for the Wings at 7 minutes. So the Wings come out and they're the better team to start the period. Morrissey fires one high. Vesalainen has a chance that's saved. And then there's another power play for Detroit. Larkin has a chance that's saved. We get another scrum after that because that's how it works. Good penalty kill by Tony Nato. And as they're killing it off, the puck ends up going in the net. So with 1 second after the power play had ended, Kopp gets one. So technically you should qualify this as a shorthanded goal because there's no way the other guy's on the ice yet unless he can teleport, and we haven't started that yet. So someday teleportation is going to be a thing. If you played NHL games, you can just go right through the boards. Teleportation's almost here. So I just thinking about when the stick goes through, I'm like, how does the stick? So anyways, Connor and Schmidt with the assists at 11:08. So Andrew Kopp with a couple of goals. He's one of my favorite players, so that's fine. Jets press. They don't get any shots out of it. Suter and Dubois were unfriendly at this stage of the game. The Wings get a power play. That's killed off. The Jets go to the power play with 2:29 left, but the Red Wings killed that off and allowed 3 shots. We go to the third period, 2-0 for Winnipeg. Lowry steals one. The Wings stole it right back. So Lowry, knowing he's playing for his dad and all, doing his best. Jets press at 5.5 minutes. Lowry had a chance at the net. That saved. Dubois then had a rush chance that was saved as well. There's a press by the Jets that was held. Things get kind of scrummy after. With 5:17 left, the Wings get a power play. They had a good third period, but Hellebuck had a better third period. There was a shorthanded chance for Connor that was saved, and then we get 1 minute and 13 seconds of 5-on-3 for Detroit. Well, you pull the goalie and make it 6-on-3. Connor hits the empty net. A shorthanded goal and empty netter at 18:30, and his family's in attendance. And this was kind of a sad night, a happy and sad night in that his family's in attendance, but it's the first time that Connor had played in Detroit since his father passed away. So it's kind of a bittersweet thing for him, right? So nice to see him get on the board. Your final score is 3-0 for Winnipeg. They go to 17-12-5 with the win for Detroit. They fall to 16-17-5, and they looked like the best threat for a playoff spot in the East as recently as a couple weeks ago. And it really looks like it's fallen off to a stage where, yeah, I guess the top 8 in the East are just fighting for who's going to finish where. 3 stars. I know there's a lot of time left in the season. I can't remember seeing a separation like this before the halfway mark. 3 stars are Kopp, Hellebuck, and Connor. The shots favor Winnipeg in the first, 10-9. Favor Winnipeg 10-7 in the second. And then Detroit manages 17 shots in the third to 12 shots for Winnipeg. Final shots 33-32 for Detroit. Power plays, Winnipeg 0-for-1 in Detroit. This is the big stat line, 0-for-5. The hits, 14-10 for Winnipeg, so not a very physical game, although there was a lot of discussions, usually Bertuzzi in the middle of said discussions, sometimes Dubois. Hellebuck saves all 33 shots he faces for, I think it was his 26th career shutout, and Nedeljkovic, 29 saves on 31 shots at the other end. So pretty darn good games, and now we need to change boards. Okay. New Jersey in against the New York Islanders. So these are 2 teams that are trying to get back into the hunt. So as I mentioned, there's that separation between the top 8 and the bottom 8 in the East. I think the Islanders might be the team that has the best chance of really getting back into this. So it's Gillies versus Sorokin, and I don't think it would have mattered if Gillies had a terrible night. There's no way that other kid was going to get in the net, right? So, yeah, they sign him, and I say kid, but I think he's 28, and he gets signed for today, and we'll see how long he's a member of the New Jersey Devils, but look good sitting there with the jersey on and the hat on. And he gets that memory of being on the Devils bench. So he sure has a chance on a turnover. Sorokin saves there. Although all night Butch Goring was complaining about how deep Sorokin was in the net. I didn't think he was that deep in the net, but it was just constant. Devils get a power play. Tatar's a blast that's saved. It's killed off. Cizikas then has a break. He fires it wide. Devils press at 7 minutes. Gillies had been sharp so far, and then Sharon Govich scores from Subban and White at 9:43. And that one went through Sorokin. So I will say this. Sorokin had a good game. That was not a fantastic goal. I think those can be the same. I think a goaltender can allow a goal that you say, probably should have stopped it, but still have a pretty good game. So VC then had a net drive. He fires high on that. Barzal with a break. Graves defends on that. Make sure it doesn't get to the net, and he doesn't take a penalty. The Islanders then get a power play. It becomes a 4-on-4. That's all killed off. Hughes had a rush chance that was saved. The Islanders then get another power play. Well, if you give them enough power plays, they're going to get one. And Josh Bailey scores from Parise and Beauvillier at 18:59. And if you were waiting for Parise to start looking like Zach Parise, I think tonight was a good game for that. So we go to the second period with it tied at 1. Islanders get a power play. Dobson fires one wide. Good power play, but New Jersey does kill it off. The shots are 2-0 for the Islanders at 7 minutes. So it's a very defensive-minded game to this point. Johnson then has a rush chance that was saved. Pelech puts the Islanders in the lead. He scores from Parise and Bellows at 9:22, and that one went in off of one of the Islanders, or one of the Devils defenders in front of the net. Things get kind of scrummy again at the half because, again, these teams all got to get together and go, hey, when was the last time we hugged like this? When was the last time? I've missed this. The Devils get a power play. That was unsuccessful. Jaros then blocks a Bellows shot. So we go to the third period with the Islanders in the lead. Hughes is robbed by Sorokin. The Islanders then get a power play. That was unsuccessful. The Devils get a power play of their own. Subban was chirping Wahlstrom, because sure. Devils get another power play. They score on this one. It's Bastian from Smith and Hischier at 10:25. We then end up with 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Barzal would score at 15:07 to put the Islanders back into the lead from Bailey and Mayfield. So at 15:07, it becomes a 3-2 game. New Jersey would pull the goaltender with more than 2 minutes left. Unsuccessful. Your final score is 3-2 for the Islanders. They go to 11, 12, and 6 with the win. The Devils drop to 14, 8, and 5 with the loss. So your 3 stars are Pelech, Bailey, and Parise. The shots 14 apiece in the first, and then they stopped shooting. The shots were 6-5 for the New Jersey in the second, and then they start shooting again. The shots were 12-6 in the third for New Jersey. That long change, man. Final shots 32-25 for New Jersey. Power plays 1 for 5 for the Devils, 1 for 4 for the Islanders. Hits 21-16 in favor of the New York Islanders. Gillies saved 22 out of 25. I thought he was good, but Sorokin I thought was better. 30 saves on 32 shots, and a big win for the Islanders because they need to string some together to really get back in the hunt. It's going to take a lot, but again, we got a lot of the season left, and I don't bet against the Islanders. I learned that as soon as they brought Lou Lamoriello back. I don't bet against him, even though people tear apart Lou's moves. I don't know what to say. The moves you look at and go, yeah, I don't know if that worked out, but look at the record. Well, not this year, but in general, right? Okay, next up, Seattle. So the Seattle Kraken in against St. Louis. St. Louis kind of does it again, right? So it's Drieger versus Husso. Seattle, of course, coming off of the loss last night against Dallas. This was Vince Dunn's homecoming, so kind of nice to see him against his former team, although I think with the season St. Louis has had with all the protocols and all the injuries, I think they really would have liked to have done on the blue line. Early power play for the Blues. Neal has a chance that goes wide. That's killed off. Larson has a net pass that's defended. Eberle fires one wide. The shots, though, were 6-4 for Seattle with 9 minutes left. I thought they played a very good road game to that point. The Blues press with 8.5 minutes left, but with 5 minutes left, Seattle gets on the board first. It's Wenberg from Donato and Soucy at 15 minutes. Seattle then gets a power play. The fans wanted a penalty called on Seattle. The refs did not give it to them. So, and that was during that power play for Seattle. But it's all killed off. It's all good, except the fact it's 1-0 for Seattle after 1. Second period, Seattle's sharp early, but the Blues start to pressure, and you can see the momentum start to shift around the 4-minute mark. The Blues then get a power play. That was a no. I believe they had another power play right after. Also didn't succeed. The Blues press. The puck deflects out. Appleton with the tip. That was saved by Husso, who had a very good game. Blues get another power play. Also unsuccessful. And then Drieger, really honestly at this point is becoming the story. I really thought Drieger was ready to maybe steal one, which is part of the storyline we haven't seen with Seattle. Most expansion teams, you can point at games and say, man, the goaltending really came through for that expansion team that night. With Seattle, it really hasn't been the case this year. Last late power play for Seattle leads to them having 59 seconds of a power play to start the third period, but it's unsuccessful. Blues finish the kill, and then Thomas scores from Saad and Krug at 1 minute and 29 seconds. The Blues get a power play, and Buchnevich scores from Barbashev and Kyrou at 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So all of a sudden, St. Louis is ahead. It's what St. Louis does. Husso not giving up rebounds, playing a very good game. Donskoy, Where do we start with Donskoy? Like, it's ridiculous how many chances he gets, and they just won't go in. He misses one wide. Seattle presses with 9 minutes left. There's a post for Kyrou. Donskoy with a net drive. Can't bury it. It's Donskoy. Seattle with a power play with 1 minute and 40 seconds left. They make it a 6-on-4, right? So 6-on-4 for Seattle. Mikkola was minus a stick, so it was 6-on-3.5, but the Blues cleared it out. Mikkola was able to get off and get replaced. Donskoy fires one high. Seattle can't tie it. They're at the net as the horn sounds. The Blues hang on. They win this one 2-1. It's not the prettiest win, but it's a win. And so they go to 22-10-5 with the 2-1 victory. Seattle drops to 10-22-4. It is really unraveled. So I had planned on doing like Seattle videos every 10 games on their season. I mercifully decided not to. But at the halfway mark, we're going to have to look at where they're at and compare it to other expansion teams and see where they're going to end up finishing in all likelihood. Your 3 stars in this one: Husso, Thomas, and Buchnevich. The shots favored Seattle in the first 15-8, and then St. Louis outshoots them 12-8 in the second. Seattle did outshoot them 9-7 in the third. The final shots are 32-27 for Seattle. Power plays 0 for 3 for Seattle, 1 for 5 for St. Louis. Hits 21-16 for St. Louis. Drieger saves 25 out of 27. Husso saves 31 out of 32. And again, with Husso and Binnington healthy, St. Louis is in pretty good shape. All right, that being said, let us move along. Buffalo. Who saw that coming? I didn't. I really didn't. Dell versus Saros. So Buffalo, all their goaltenders hurt. The whole spinal tap. The spinal tap jokes, I've seen them numerous places online about how goaltenders in Buffalo have become drummers from spinal tap. And if you're not old enough to know the joke, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. The drummer thing in Spinal Tap is one of the funniest things in cinematic history. Spinal Tap itself is a pretty good movie. But the drummer thing is what makes that and Tiny Stonehenge. Tiny Stonehenge, it cracks me up every time. All right. Hey, I talk about stuff in reviews you're not going to hear anywhere else. Sabres press early. The shots are 4-1 for Buffalo at 4 minutes. And then Jankowski opens the scoring from Pesek. The Predators are completely stuck in neutral to this point in the game. It was a slow start for Nashville. Duchesne can't bury one. The shots are evening up in the second half of the period. Saros denies Skinner and close. The Predators get a power play. It was unsuccessful. We go to the second period with Buffalo ahead on the road, 1-0. And Buffalo's road record is not great, right? So this was odd. Second period, Preds get an early power play, and again, it's no. Jeannot was throwing hits. Jeannot very prominent in the game, so if he's not scoring, he's throwing hits. He's aggravating the opposition. Jeannot really does kind of a little bit of everything. I guess a comparison I might make might be Pat Verbeek, right? Verbeek was able to score goals and aggravate the other team quite a lot. Pressed by the Predators then at 4.5 minutes. Shots are 7-1 for the Predators at 9 minutes. So they came out very well in that second period. Just Dell was kind of stoning them. Predators get a power play. They do score on it. So they break the goose egg. It's Duchesne from Johansson at 13-12. But the Sabres press with 4.5 minutes left. And with 3:18 left, they get a power play. And they score on it. It's Skinner from Cousins and Okposo at 18-18. Jeff Skinner, pretty good game. In fact, Jeff Skinner quietly is having a decent season. I understand he'll never live up to that contract. But he's had a pretty good year. So it's 2-1 Buffalo after 2. So with 24.2 seconds left, the Predators get a power play, so that rolls it over into the third, where the Sabres finish off the kill. Dell saved when the Preds were pressuring in the third. Not that they got a lot of opportunities in the third period. There's a power play for the Sabres. Okposo can't bury one. There's a quick whistle there where I don't think Saros actually had it, but the Preds end up killing it. And then Skinner scores from Tuck at 7:59. Things then got kind of brawly with 7:58 left. The Sabres end up getting a power play when the smoke clears. Preds killed it off, and then they froze the puck along the boards. I have started noticing. So when they tie the puck up along the boards, usually a referee will just say, move it. I'm not blowing the whistle, move it. I have noticed in recent weeks, they've started just blowing the whistle depending on how long that puck's been along the boards, which is different. Goalie gets pulled with 3 minutes left. Yossi fires one wide. With 1:25 left, Nashville calls a timeout. Whatever they discussed, it does not work. It's an empty netter. It's Hinostroza from Hague at 18:46. Buffalo wins in Nashville tonight 4-1. They go to 11-19-6. Nashville drops to 24-12-2. The 3 stars, Skinner, Duchesne, and Dell. Shots, 11-9 Buffalo in the first, 13-5 Nashville in the second, 8-5 Nashville in the third. Final shots, 30-21 for the Preds. Power plays, both teams go 1 for 4 of the hits. 45-21 for Nashville. They were throwing the body. They were getting a lot of shots. Couldn't beat Dell. Dell ends up in the 3 stars. Dell saves 29 out of 30. Saros saves 17 out of 20. And it's a rare game in recent weeks where Nashville gets out-goaltended. So it happens. For anybody wondering, what's that going to do to the board? Nothing. It's fine. It's a one-off. One-offs, whether it's a win after a losing streak or a loss after a winning streak, I look at it and go, that's probably a one-off. I'm not penalizing the team for it. All right. That being said, let's move on to the next game on the board, which became way more entertaining late than I thought it had any right to be. It's Montreal and against Chicago. So neither of these teams are very likely to make the playoffs. Montreal comes into this 32nd out of 32 teams overall. Montembeault versus Fleury. There was no Doc and no Strome for Chicago. They were put on the protocol list shortly before the whistle, which is why I don't really talk about the protocol lists in news videos now, because, yeah, this can happen right before the game. So, yeah. Pitlick on his opening shift was pretty darn good. I thought he was out there doing what they picked him up to do. I thought he was driving some offense, and the Habs were pressing. They weren't getting shots. I thought they had a good first 5 minutes, not getting shots. The Hawks press at 6 minutes, and they score. Kubalik scores from Taves and Stillman at 7:42. So for the second night in a row, Montreal has this decent start to the game, and then they end up behind. The Hawks get a power play. Kane has a shot that's saved. The Hawks were cycling, but that power play is killed off. The shots are 8-0 in favor of the Hawks with 8 minutes left. So Montreal not getting shots on the net. Chicago blocking them out well, and Montreal struggling. The Habs get a late power play, but we go to the second period. Second period is where I get kind of irritated. So this was the game I was watching on my computer, and you can choose from 2 different feeds when you're watching an NHL live. So I normally let it default to the home feed. Well, they interview Andrew Shaw, and I understand that tonight was Andrew Shaw night. I get it. When you're interviewing him during the play, and there's all kinds of stuff going on you're not even talking about, it starts to aggravate me. So it's the first time I've seen that with a Chicago feed. It's not ESPN Plus. It's not the same, but it felt. So I went over to the TSN feed right away, and I was like, oh, they're calling the game. Cool. So yeah, it was just weird because there were some good shots and some good opportunities, and they're just talking to Andrew Shaw, and I'm like, okay, can we not do this in between plays? I don't know. Anyways, the shots are 5-0 for the Habs at 4 minutes. So there was stuff happening while they were talking. The Habs were shot blocking them when Chicago pressed. So the Habs had a pretty good start to that second period to make up for that first period that was a disaster. Kurashev can't bury one. The Habs get a power play. That was killed off. Pitlick was working for his chances in his debut. Like he was driving the play a lot. And then Petrie finally gets his first from Lehkonen and Romanov at 12:41. So that ties up the game. Romanov versus Carpenter then takes place. Romanov throws a clean hit. Carpenter didn't like it, so you had to fight, which means Carpenter gets the instigator and 17 minutes of penalties. 2 for instigating, 5 minutes for fighting, and a 10-minute misconduct. And I agree with Carlo Koliakovo, who in between periods said it is weird that when a guy throws a clean hit, he has to fight. I've talked about it in videos before too. I find that really bizarre. You throw a clean hit, I don't understand needing to fight after a clean hit. But on that power play, it cost them. So Carpenter's instigator cost the Hawks. Hoffman scores from Caulfield and Sherratt at 18:16. And Cole Caulfield looked decent tonight. He doesn't get a goal, but he looked decent. And Montreal suddenly ahead 2-1. Then there's a delay game call. Puts the Habs right back on the power play in the last minute. So, third period, for 1 minute and 18 seconds to start the period, the Habs have a power play. That's killed off, and then the Hawks get a power play. They score on theirs. It's Kane from Gustafsson and DeBrincat at 2:21. And then Suzuki tries to answer because I could say the Habs, but Suzuki was really driving the play on that one. The Habs pressed at 4 minutes. Power play for the Hawks. That was unsuccessful. DeBrincat's robbed after. Pitlick has a rush chance that just kind of fizzled out. There's a post for Kane, and then it comes off the post. It hits Montembeault, I believe, on the skate or on the pad, and then it rolled wide. So these are the ones we've seen going off the post, off the goalie, and in. This one rolls wide instead. Pressed by the Habs with 6 minutes left, but then with 3:10 left, the Hawks get a power play. That was killed off by Montreal. So we end up in overtime. In the overtime, the Habs control on the faceoff. Drouin fires one high. Suzuki was then denied. Kurashev flies into the net, and immediately they say no goal. And this is where, I have to admit, by the end of this, I was kind of chuckling. So they took forever. It felt like 10 minutes, right? This game started a half an hour before the Calgary Ottawa game, and it finished maybe 5-10 minutes before the other game, because this went on for a while. So it was reviewed. Did the puck go in the net? They look at it forever, and they're like, yep, that's a good goal. That the net was knocked off by Montreal, and it's just, it's a continuance, and that the puck's in. So even though the net was knocked off when the puck crossed, it's a good goal. Fine. The referee announces this and then says, now we're going to look and see if it was offside. Which, I'm laughing now, and I laughed then. I thought it was hilarious because he really clearly enunciated, like, this is my moment. This is great. I'm gonna make him happy, and then I'm gonna make him boo me. So, and kudos to the referee for being able to do that. So they review it to see if it was offside. It was a good goal. They determined that he had control of the puck as he came in, so it didn't matter that he preceded the puck into the zone, and it's a good goal. And so the game's over. Kurashev from Hagel and Gustafsson at 2:24. Chicago goes to 14-18-5 with the win. Montreal 7-24-5. So, I mean, points-wise, they're now tied with Arizona, so that's a start. 3 stars, Kurashev, Fleury, and Kane. So all 3 stars are from Chicago. Shots, 13-3 Chicago in the first, 17-6 Montreal in the second, 11-8 Chicago in the third. Both teams had 1 shot in the overtime. Chicago's, that net crash is the one that counts and gets them the win. They finished with 31 shots, 29 shots for Montreal in the game. Power plays, both teams 1 for 4. Montreal out hits them big time, 39-24. And the way Romanov was throwing hits, I wouldn't be surprised if 10 of those were from him. Montembeault saves 28 out of 31. I thought he played well. Fleury, a little better. 27 saves on 29 shots. And Chicago gets a needed victory over a team at the bottom of the standings. So there you go. We need to go to the final board. And next up is the aforementioned Ottawa and Calgary game. I did not expect to be wearing an Ottawa jersey. Now, the reason I'm wearing the Ottawa jersey, it's been forever since they played. And they came out tonight, and yeah, for the Calgary Flames, their home record is officially a problem. Now, I understand that, like, the half fans in attendance and the idea that maybe that throws them off a little bit. I don't know. Before the game, they sounded pretty hyped about just, being able to play at home. Dubé saying they're going to be really loud. It'll be fine. So it was Murray versus Markstrom. Matt Murray making an argument that he's ready to be an NHL goaltender again. Nick Paul scores from Formenton and Connor Brown at 1:43. So early goal by Ottawa, and that's been a storyline too with Calgary. If they get off to that good start, they normally win. If they get off to a slow start, they normally lose. Flames get a power play. Tkachuk has a shot that's saved. That's killed off. And by Tkachuk, I mean Matthew Tkachuk. Both Tkachuks are in this game. Shots are 4-2 for the Flames at 5 minutes. Murray denies Ritchie. But then at 16:37, Nick Paul scores from Connor Brown and Formenton. So it's 2-0 after 1. Keep in mind that when this first period was played, there were 9 games on at the same time. So doing my best to track what's going on around the league, it gets kind of hairy when it's 9 games at the same time. So second period, this is the busiest I've been in a month. So I'm fine with that. It doesn't bother me at all. The shots are 5-0 for the Senators, 5.5 minutes into the second period. Ottawa was really playing quite well. Paul, he was stuck on the ice. They iced the puck, and it looked like, he was really gassed, but they survived that. There was a press by the Flames. The Senators doing a good job of shot blocking. Murray robs Shillington. Again, Murray's best game of the year. Markstrom saves on Tkachuk. That's Brady, not Matthew. Matthew didn't turn against his own goaltender. Sens press with 6.5 minutes left. Paul with a net drive that wouldn't go. Puck was cleared. He had a lot of opportunities at the hat trick tonight. He has never had a hat trick in the NHL. Senators had a 3-on-2. That fizzles out. Lindholm has a shot that deflects high. And then in the final minute, and this felt like it was the backbreaker, Batherson from Tkachuk at 19:03. And it was a turnover by Hanifin, who had a pretty good game before this, and it goes in off Markstrom's mask. So it's one of those goals that when things are going against you, that one goes in, where normally you'd get that save. So it's 3-0 Ottawa going into the third period. Gambrell has a net drive that's sent wide in the first minute. Puck goes the other way. Matthew Tkachuk gets on the board from Tanev and Goudreau at 47 seconds. So Matthew Tkachuk with a goal. Brady Tkachuk with an assist in tonight's game. So if there's any kind of betting going on there, I guess Matthew wins for the goal compared to the assist. Although I think the bet's based on which team wins. Sens try to answer. Paul has a chance that's saved and deflected out. And then on a turnover, an end-to-end breakaway, at least from inside his own blue line all the way to the other end. Connor Brown at 452. Honestly, Connor Brown, it's amazing when he starts heating up just how good he looks. That made it 4-1. Ritchie fires one wide as the Flames press. The Senators get a power play. That was killed off. Lucic had a blast that was saved. The Flames press after that. Sanford and Zadorov were unfriendly. Zadorov basically ragdolls Sanford. Senators end up with a power play. They don't score on it, but it's a great road game for the Sens. They win this one 4-1. They go to 10-18-2, so the record still is not good. However, for the Flames, this is one they needed. They dropped to 17-11-6, and they're watching as other teams are trying to catch are getting further ahead, right? 3 stars in this one. Paul, Brown, and Murray, who gets his first win of the season. And again, I thought he played really well. Shots, 13-10 Ottawa in the first, 13-6 Ottawa in the second, and then 12-8 Calgary in the third. Final shots, 34-28 for Ottawa. Power plays 0-3 for Ottawa, 0-1 for Calgary. Hits, 17-12 for Calgary. Murray saves 27 out of 28. Markstrom saves 30 out of 34. There was one thing said by Cassie Campbell that left me scratching my head. When that fourth goal went in, she said, I understand it's 4-1, but I don't think Calgary deserves to be behind 4-1. From what I saw of the game, yeah, Ottawa was full value for that 4-1 lead. So I disagreed with that assertion. But, you know, I get it. It's a tough night for Calgary, a night where they probably should have won and didn't. And so we'll see how the whole playoff run ends up going in the West. Because how about those Kings? 5-2 on the homestand. That's how you play a homestand. And it was Jarry versus Quick. And I have to say, if LA's not selling out games with how they're playing right now, I don't know what else to do. And of course, Los Angeles has been a tough market for sports. It's not just a hockey thing. We've seen with football where it's been an issue before too. So early chances for the Kings. Boyle with a close call. The shots are 5-2 for the Kings at 4 minutes. And then the Penguins score first. And this is what the Penguins are very good at, scoring first. It's Letang from Dumoulin and Zahorna at 4:42. It's a bad angle shot. It goes in off of Quick. And it's one of those, again, it's one of those ones where the player throws it at the net and it goes in off the goaltender, right? Carter then gets his video tribute, and I thought, okay, so we'll see if that changes anything. Mata ends up hitting a post, the Kings controlling after that. Moore tips one wide, the Penguins cleared out, but then Kopitar ties the game at 13:48. Maybe the fact that Kempe's going to the All-Star game got Kopitar thinking, I'm glad my teammate's going, but All-Star. I don't think he cares. I think any player not named to the All-Star game is probably thinking, cool, I have a long weekend. Awesome. Honestly, I think that's what a lot of them feel. I think we as fans get more upset about who doesn't go to the All-Star game than they do. I don't think they care nearly as much. Quick saves as the Pens seek an answer. The Kings get a power play with 28 seconds left, so that rolls over into the second period. There seems to be a lot of power plays in the final minute of periods this year. I don't know if it's different, but it feels like it. Second period, the Penguins did finish the kill. Pettersson can't bury one shortly after that. Turcotte steals one and then hands it right back. Turcotte's been... Well, I'm glad he's playing games, but I've been wondering, like, if when the Kings have a full lineup and everybody's doing well, I think maybe Turcotte needs some more time in the AHL, but hey, there you go. Shots are 5-1 for the Kings at 5 minutes, so it's not like it was doing him any harm. Jarry robs Moore, the Kings net crashing after that. Gensel has a chance that's saved. Roy tries to bank one in, Jarry saves on that. Power play for the Kings, and they score on it. It's Dustin Brown making it 2-1 from Moore and Jersey at 14:32. Pens draw, power play then, as they pressed after that. We get a shorthanded break for Lizotte. He was denied. Boyle's then denied on a rebound. That power play's killed off. Gensel has a break. He's denied with 10 seconds left. So it's a pretty good goaltenders duel. It's 2-1 LA after 2 periods. At 1:37 of the third, the Pens tie it. Zahorna from Bluger and Ruedel. And again, Penguins are pretty good at coming back and winning these games. LA did the whole you shall not pass tonight. I mean, really. First, it's Mikey Anderson with his first of the year from Kopitar at 3:07. Sullivan was upset with something on the play. I didn't see what it was. The announcers, I didn't hear them announce. There was something he was upset about. I'm guessing he wanted a penalty called or a whistle that didn't happen. And then Arvidsson 10 seconds later scores from Moore and Doughty. So whatever had him upset at the Anderson goal likely had him livid when Arvidsson scores 10 seconds later. And it was a great pass by Trevor Moore, and Arvidsson's not going to miss that. It was a yawning cage. And then at 4:30, so a minute and 13 seconds later, Kopitar scores from Iafallo and Durzi. This is where my wife, who was in the next room, yelled out, "Did they just score again?" I'm like, yeah, it's not a replay. They scored again. So she had to come in and watch, because it's 5-2 for LA at this point. And then the Kings look for another. I don't know who these Kings are, but this is the best they've looked in about half a decade. Kempe and Matheson were then unfriendly. Kapanen's denied. The Kings press with 6 minutes left. And then, I felt bad for Jari because he's getting the Bronx cheers at this point. I didn't think Jari had a bad game. I thought his defense did. So Durzi would score from Brown and Kupari on a set play on a faceoff at 18:20. Sean Durzi with a goal and 2 assists. I am so happy for Durzi to see him playing well. Like I mentioned in a video, 6 weeks ago, that I saw Durzi at a game playing for Ontario against Abbotsford. And I was blown away by just how good he was. And I was like, he's ready for at least I thought he's ready for the NHL. I ain't a scout. I just go watch games and I talk about who I'm impressed with when I'm there. But impressive night for LA. They win 6-2. They go to 19-13-5 with the win. They put some daylight between themselves and Calgary with that. And for the Pittsburgh Penguins, 21-10-5 with the loss. As it's been a long road trip, and it's just, I think with the Penguins, they were just due for a couple of losses, really. 3 stars, Kopitar, Anderson, and Durzi. And then there's the fact that just the Kings were fantastic. Shots 10-9 for LA in the first, 20-8 LA in the second, 15-12 LA in the third, final shots 45-29 for the Kings. I had to laugh at Jim Fox saying, yeah, I have all these notes ready. I'm not using them because this game's just great. I don't need my notes. So the power plays 0 for 1 for Pittsburgh, 1 for 3 for LA. It's easy to feel really happy about a game and say it's a great game when your team's winning handedly over Pittsburgh, and that wasn't expected. Hits were 16-15 in favor of Pittsburgh, who again going 0 for 1 on the power play with LA going 1 for 3. Special teams have been much better for Pittsburgh. We'll see, how things go and if this is just a sign. I think it's really a sign LA's playing better than people give him credit for. Jari saves 39 out of 45. It would have been worse if DeSmith was in there, I think. Quick, 27 saves on 29 shots. And Jonathan Quick gets it back after a couple of kind of rough starts for him. Looked very good tonight. So, yeah, there you go. Let us move along. Last game of the night. Rangers. I seem to have a lot more energy tonight than I have in reviews for a while. So I'm looking at the clock and going, yeah, apparently. I don't know when to shut up. So Shesterkin versus Hill. So Shesterkin back in the net for the Rangers. Kudos and applause to Georgiev for how well he played while Shesterkin was out. It is easy to look at the Rangers' overall record and go, they could be all right if Shesterkin needs some extra time. But he was back tonight, and he didn't look like he was any worse for wear. Early press by the Rangers. Meyer with a net feed that wouldn't go. 7.5 minutes into this, the shots are 3-2 for the Rangers. Power play then for the Sharks, and that leads to a shorthanded goal for Chris Kreider, who is having a career year. Absolutely fantastic, and just named to the All-Star game. From Zibanejad and Fox at 10:25, and then the Rangers kill off the rest. So that's how you do it. Sharks press with 3 minutes left, but they come out of the first period down 1-0. Second period, Bonino had a long shot that was gloved and held as San Jose is trying to figure out how they're going to get through that wall that's Igor Shesterkin. A hit on Miller gives the Rangers a power play. Miller exits into concussion protocol. I'm hoping he's okay, and even when a player comes back from concussion protocol, I'm like, he's fine. Sometimes the next morning they're not. So we end up with that penalty being for a board that led to Miller being out. It was Roska that got the penalty on that, and I'm like, who's Roska? Because, again, there's so many players that are playing that I don't know that I've ever heard of them. That it just feels like every night there's somebody else. So Fox has a shot that's saved and held. That power play's killed off. Greco is then denied by Hill. I always heard it pronounced Greco, but the announcers for the Rangers were calling him Greco. So fine, I'll say Greco because they would know, right? Couture then exited for repairs. He took a stick up high. There was no penalty on the play. Zibanejad with a rush chance that saved. Trouba and Meyer were unfriendly, which definitely woke up the San Jose bench. Kreider has a break. He can't bury it. Cogliano in alone. He was absolutely denied. He was denied by Shesterkin. And then VL decided to take Trouba down. It was a pretty good fight. I think that was the best fight of the night. Trouba held his own, but yeah, VL kind of had enough of Trouba at that point. The Sharks thought they had a goal, but the referee said, no, they pushed the goalie in. You can't do that. You can't, when the goalie has the puck, you can't just push him in. It's not street hockey rules. There's times where I've done it. I'm not proud of it, but I've done it. That's a goal. See, the goalie's in the net. He has the ball, so it's a goal. So Igor then robbed Hurdle. Hedel was then denied by Hill on the same play. So it was really nice. Both goaltenders, really nice plays there. Ferraro was then robbed in the last minute. Third period, 1:27 in. Braden Schneider. He scores his first NHL goal. This was in his first game. He was getting hits. He was getting shots. He was running the play. He did very well tonight. So Schneider, a first-round draft pick in his first game, played well. He scores from Strome and Hedel. So a 1:27, that makes it 2-0. Now, the shots are 5-4 for the Sharks at 5 minutes. They were getting opportunities, but it's Shesterkin. Meyer with a chance that deflects out. The Rangers were playing back a lot, up by 2. They gave up shots, but I don't know how many of them were high danger chances. It didn't feel like there were a lot of really good looks for the Sharks in that third period. Shesterkin was in the zone. No rebounds. Just no rebounds, and if they were nowhere near the net. There was nothing really overly dangerous in front of his net. Hedel has a rush. His shot was blocked. Dahlin was then denied on a rush by Shesterkin. Net pass to Greco. Near miss there. Meyer was denied as the Sharks press with 3 minutes left. The Sharks get a power play. I was surprised they didn't pull the goaltender immediately. I thought you go 6-on-4 because you're down by 2. I was kind of surprised they didn't. So they didn't pull the goaltender until there was a minute and a half left. So there's only 30 seconds left in the power play. With 59.4 seconds left, the Sharks call a timeout. Still with the goaltender pulled. That allows Kreider to get his 200th career goal into the empty net from Rooney at 1932. The Rangers win this one 3-0. Very nice way to end the road trip, at least the California part of it. I would assume they're going home after this. 24-10-4 is their record overall. San Jose 20-17-1. So they would have watched what LA did, look at their number and say, but they're right near one another, right? So the 3 stars are Shesterkin, Fox, and Zibanejad. The shots 10-6 San Jose in the first, 13-10 Rangers in the second, 17-12 San Jose in the third. Final shots 37-31 for San Jose. Power plays 0-for-1 for the Rangers, 0-for-2 for San Jose. The hits 21-11 for the New York Rangers. Shesterkin saves all 37 for a shutout, and Hill 28 saves on 30 shots. So there you go. A pretty good night for Hill, overshadowed completely by Shesterkin. So what are you going to do? Shesterkin's just that good. Back in the hunt for the Vezina as soon as he comes back into the net, which may very well end up being his anyways, and we can be surprised when it happens, I guess. There you go. Let me know your thoughts about these games in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.